Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Amia. Amazon S3 is one of the most widely used AWS storage services. In this episode, we're going to look at the key concept of Amazon S3. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. It's a reliable web-scale object storage service where you can store a massive amount of data. You can upload and retrieve data from anywhere over the internet. S3 offers highly scalable, available, durable, secure storage and allows fast data upload and retrieval. S3 is the object storage. An object is a data file, which can be in any format. Each object comprises a key-value pair. The object key is the name of the object. The object value is the actual file. S3 is the most widely used AWS storage service. Common use cases are storing media files such as videos, audios, images for web apps, mobile apps, and streaming services. You can back up EBS volumes or databases with S3 and restore data whenever you need. Some companies use S3 Glacier as a secure long-term data archive for auditing and compliance purpose. Many big data enterprises use S3 as the data lake for machine learning and big data analytics. You can store data for IoT devices. S3 is also very popular for static web hosting, where you can host static HTML and CSS and front-end JavaScript code. You pay for storage space at per gigabyte rate, API calls such as put, post, and get requests. You pay for data transferred out of S3. However, data transferred into S3 is free. You pay as much as you consume. At the moment, for the standard S3 class, the storage rate is around 2 cents per gigabyte, depends on your region. For the first 12 months you get 5 gigabytes free storage space, 20,000 free GET requests, 2,000 free PUT requests. For example, if you store 5 gigabytes of data in S3, it's free in the first 12 months. After 12 months, you will pay approximately 11 cents per month for data storage. S3 is highly scalable. You can store from only a few bytes to terabytes or petabytes of data. In theory, the total volume and the total number of files you can store are unlimited. S3 is highly durable. It is designed for 11 nines of data durability of all S3 classes. S3 automatically creates and stores copies of all S3 objects across multiple systems. Once your data is stored in S3, it will never disappear, damage or corrupt, until you delete it. S3 is highly available. The standard S3 class offers 4 nines of availability in a given year. It guarantees less than 1 hour downtime in 365 days. Basically, more nines means higher availability or durability. Amazon guarantees even during unexpected events like fire or flood, you may have very short downtime, but you will never lose your data. Because data is replicated across multiple data centers. Data in S3 is highly secure. S3 supports data encryption in transit and encryption at rest. It provides different levels of access management. For example, S3 works with IAM. Each bucket has a bucket policy, access control list, and access points. Data transfer in S3 is very fast. You can use S3 transfer acceleration to enable superfast data transfer over a long distance. S3 transfer acceleration leverages Amazon's global edge locations and ultra-fast network backbone to provide low-latency data transfer. A block storage is like the hard drive on your computer or Amazon EBS volume. You can install the operating system, software, deploy applications, or even create file systems. For example, you can install a database in block storage. However, you can only store static files in an object storage. The main purpose using an object storage is to reliably store massive data and retrieve them efficiently. You cannot install operating systems or run any software in an object storage. The file system on your computer or network file systems like Amazon EFS can have hierarchies, such as directories and subdirectories. For example, you can create subfolders inside a folder on your computer. However, an object storage has no hierarchy. In S3, objects are stored in S3 buckets. Inside each bucket, it's a flat structure with no hierarchy. An object comprises a key-value pair. An object key can contain a prefix and a delimiter. From the AWS console, The prefixes might look like folders inside the S3 bucket. However, they are not real folders. Once an object is stored, you can't modify its content. For example, the file system on your computer supports granular modification. You can open a text file and update the content. The changes immediately apply to the file. In object storage, you can't edit a file, you can only replace it or delete it. A bucket is the top-level repository to store all objects. Inside a bucket, there are no directories. It is a flat structure. So all objects inside a bucket are under one directory. The bucket name must be unique globally across all AWS accounts. For example, if another AWS customer has created a bucket called Cloudemy, I can't create a bucket with the same name. If you delete a bucket, the bucket name becomes available to other AWS accounts. Although Amazon S3 gives you a global view of all buckets in all regions, S3 bucket is regional. You have to specify an AWS region when you create a bucket. You can choose a region that is close to your end user to minimize the latency. You can allow or restrict public access to a bucket with a bucket policy. You can access a bucket via REST API with a combination of bucket name and object key. It supports both the host-style URL and path-style URL. An object can be a file in any format. Once an object is uploaded in a bucket, you cannot edit it, and you can only replace it. The total volume of data and the number of objects you can store are unlimited. Individual S3 objects can range in size from a minimum of 0 bytes to a maximum of 5 terabytes. The largest object that can be uploaded in a single put is 5 gigabytes. For objects larger than 100 megabytes, you should consider using the multi-part upload instead of a single put. You can optionally enable S3 versioning to keep multiple versions of objects. By default, without versioning, when you upload an object with the same name, it will replace the previous object. After you enable versioning, S3 will keep multiple versions of objects. You can set access permissions, storage class, and encryption options for individual objects. So each object in a bucket can have different access permissions, storage class, and encryptions. When you successfully upload an object to the S3 bucket, S3 sends back an HTTP 200 code. You can only see the 200 response if you access S3 using CLI or API. An S3 object consists of key, version ID, value, metadata, subresources, access control information. A key is a name assigned to the object, which must be unique in a bucket. You can use the object key to retrieve an object. An object key can contain a prefix with delimiters. For example, a key can be image/cat.jpg or cat.jpg. A prefix of the object key may look like a folder from the AWS console. However, as you already know, it's not a folder, because there is no hierarchy in S3. Version ID is an identifier that S3 generates. When you enable S3 versioning, every time you put an object or update it in a bucket, S3 generates a version ID for the object. Combination of version ID and object key can uniquely identify an object in a bucket. Object value is the content that you store, which can be in any digital format. An object value can be any sequence of bytes, range in size from 0 bytes to 5 terabytes. Metadata is a set of name-value pairs with which you can store information regarding the object. There are AWS-defined metadata and user-defined metadata. This information can be the content length, content type, last modified time, encryption. Subresources are subordinates to objects. S3 uses the subresource mechanism to store additional object-specific information. These subresources can be ACL or torrent. ACL or access control list contains information about ownership and permissions of an object. S3 also supports BitTorrent protocol and use torrent subresource to return the torrent file associated with the object. Amazon S3 supports both the resource-based access control, such as ACLs and bucket policies, and user-based access control such as IAM policies. S3 is the distributed storage across multiple availability zones. When you upload objects to S3, data are propagated across multiple servers for redundancy. The propagation can take some time to complete. It's important to understand the S3 data consistency model. First, we have the read after write consistency for put requests of new objects. A put request is an HTTP request for creating a resource or replacing a resource. When you upload the new objects, the object is immediately available to read, after being uploaded to S3. Next, we have the eventual consistency for overwrite put and delete requests of existing objects. It means when you replace or delete an existing object, it can take some time to propagate across multiple servers. Eventually, the data is going to be consistent. For example, if you replace a file with a newer version in S3 bucket, if you read the file immediately, you may still see the old file. After a few seconds, you'll see the new version. There are a few advanced features of S3 that you can optionally use. You can enable object versioning and store multiple versions of objects. To use S3 versioning, you need to enable it at the bucket level. You can use transfer acceleration on a bucket and leverage S3 CloudFront global edge locations and network to speed up the data transfer over a long distance. You need to enable the transfer acceleration at the bucket level. You can choose different storage classes for objects based on the use case. Each storage class offers different pricing, availability, and retrieval time. You need to set the storage class at the object level. You can apply lifecycle rules on a bucket and move objects between different storage classes and delete them after the expiration. You can set the lifecycle rule for all objects in a bucket or objects with specific prefixes or tags. Lifecycle rules can also manage the lifecycle of multiple versions of an object if you've enabled the object versioning. You need to configure lifecycle rules at the bucket level. You can prevent object deletion in a bucket using the following options. The first option is object lock. You need to enable the object lock at the bucket level during the bucket creation time. The second option is MFA delete. You can enable MFA delete when you enable object versioning on a bucket. You can only use CLI or API to set up MFA delete. Only the root account user can enable MFA delete. The third option is bucket policy. You can set deny delete objects in a bucket policy. You can enable same region replication or cross-region replication for all objects in a bucket or objects with specific prefixes or tags. Same region replication enables automatic copying of objects across buckets in the same AWS region. Cross-region replication enables automatic copying of objects across buckets in different regions. This is usually for data backup, redundancy, or auditing purpose. You need to enable replication at the bucket level. You can use an S3 bucket to host a static website. There is no website server to be installed. To host the static website, the bucket and objects must be public. You need to set up the static website hosting at the bucket level. Amazon S3 offers a range of storage classes designed for different use cases. Each class has a different offering and pricing. Storage classes can be configured at the object level, which means objects in the same bucket can be stored in different classes. You pay different rates for objects in different classes. S3 standard class is designed for 99.99% availability. Data is stored across at least 3 availability zones. It's recommended for frequently accessed data. S3 standard infrequent access class is designed for 99.9% availability. Data is stored across at least 3 AZs. It's recommended for infrequently accessed data, but require rapid access when needed. S3 one zone infrequent access class is designed for 99.5% availability. Data is stored in 1 AZ. You can potentially lose data in the event of one zone destruction. It's recommended for infrequently accessed data require no redundancy. S3 intelligent tiering is designed for 99.9% availability. Data is stored in 3 AZs. It automatically moves between S3 standard class and S3 standard IA class. It's recommended for data with unknown or changing access patterns. S3 Glacier class is designed for 99.99% availability. Data is stored in 3 AZs. It's a lower cost storage class for data archiving, with retrieval time from minutes to hours. S3 Glacier Deep Archive class is designed for 99.99% availability. Data is stored in 3 AZs. It's the lowest cost storage class for data archiving, with retrieval time from 12 hours to 48 hours. S3 storage classes are often used with S3 lifecycle management and storage class analysis for cost optimization. S3 offers different ways to control access to data stored in the bucket. You can configure IAM policies to control access to the S3 bucket for users, groups, and roles. You can use access control lists to control access at the object level. You can attach a bucket policy to the bucket and control access at the bucket level. AWS introduced a new feature called Access Points in 2019 for more dedicated access control. You can protect data in S3 using data encryption. Encryption in transit is a way to protect data traveling to and from S3 using Secure Sockets Layer, SSL, or Transport Layer Security, TLS. Encryption at rest means data is encrypted while it's stored on S3. You can enable encryption at rest for the whole bucket or encrypt individual objects separately. For encryption at rest, you can choose server-side encryption or client-side encryption. You can set up a different data encryption option for each object. You can also enable default encryption for all objects at the bucket level. S3 pricing is based on the following factors. You need to pay for storage per gigabyte. S3 offers tiered prices based on the total space you consume. You pay per gigabyte rate for the total size of all objects in S3 buckets. Prices vary in different regions and storage classes. AWS charges read and write requests such as GET, LIST, and PUT requests when you use the Management Console, CLI, and API. For example, when you use the S3 console to browse objects, you incur charges for GET and LIST requests. Rates are based on per 1,000 requests and vary in different regions. For infrequent access, OneZone IA, and Glacier classes, there are also per gigabyte data retrieval charges. You pay for the total data retrieved. When you use lifecycle management to move objects from standard class to other classes, you need to pay for the lifecycle transition requests. If you use S3 intelligent tiering, there is a monthly monitoring and automation fee. S3 monitors the object access patterns and automatically moves objects between standard class and infrequent access class. Data transferred into S3 is free. You only pay for data transferred out of S3. Prices for data transferred out to other regions or the internet can vary per gigabyte rates in different regions. If you use S3 with CloudFront, data transfer out of S3 to CloudFront is free. However, you need to pay for data transferred from CloudFront to S3. You can enable transfer acceleration to leverage AWS edge locations. You pay extra for data transfer into or out of S3 using transfer acceleration. S3 replication can incur charges. You need to pay for the storage of the original data and data in the destination bucket, replication put requests, and retrieval fee if you replicate objects from the infrequent access class. For cross-region replication, you pay for inter-region data transfer out from S3 to your destination region. When you use S3 replication time control, you also pay a replication time control data transfer fee, and S3 replication metrics charges. If you have enabled storage management, such as S3 inventory, analytics, and object tagging on your bucket, you need to pay for these storage management features. S3 Select and S3 Batch operations can also incur charges. S3 Select allows you to use SQL command to query directly on data, without retrieving the entire data. You pay for S3 Select based on total data scanned and data returned. S3 Batch operations allows you to perform large-scale batch operations on objects. You pay for batch operations based on per batch job and total object operations performed. You may enable the Request Pays feature on the bucket. The requester will pay for requests and data transfer. When the Requester Pays feature is enabled, anonymous access to this bucket is disabled. In this episode, we've learned the basic concept of Amazon S3. S3 offers highly scalable, available, durable, secure storage to store massive data for fast data transfer and retrieval. S3 is the object storage that stores static files. There is no hierarchy in the object store. You can't edit objects. You can only replace them or delete them once they have been uploaded. You need to understand the basic concept of S3 buckets and objects. A bucket is the top-level repository to store objects. It has virtually unlimited storage. Objects are files inside a bucket. They can be in any format. It can range in size from 0 bytes to 5 terabytes. An object consists of key, version ID, value, metadata, subresources, and access control. S3 namespace must be unique. A bucket name must be unique globally across all AWS accounts. An object name must be unique inside a bucket. When you successfully upload an object, an HTTP 200 code is returned. You can see the response if you use AWS CLI or APIs. S3 provides read after write data consistency when you upload new objects, and eventual data consistency when you replace or delete existing objects. You can set different storage classes for individual objects based on your use cases. There are S3 Standard, Standard IA, One Zone IA, S3 Intelligent Tiering, S3 Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive class. You can manage S3 access control with IAM policies, access control lists, bucket policy, and S3 access points. Data encryption in transit and encryption at rest ensures data security, privacy, and confidentiality. You can optionally use some advanced features in S3. You can enable object versioning to keep multiple object versions. Transfer acceleration speeds up the file transfer over a long distance. Lifecycle rules help move objects to different classes. Same region or cross-region replication automatically copies objects into a different bucket. You can prevent accidental object deletion by using object lock, MFA delete, and bucket policy. S3 also gives you the option to host static websites without installing any web server. Okay, that's all for Amazon S3. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode. Hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. If you liked the video, please help us and hit the like button. If you want to watch more tutorials, please subscribe to the Cloudemy TV channel. Make sure to turn on the notification and stay tuned. At Cloudemy, we're passionate about cloud and AI technology. Please share your feedback and thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to watch. Happy watching and happy learning.